Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Union Minister Chirag Paswan. He is the Minister of Food Processing. More than anything else, he is one of the youngest ministers in Prime Minister Modi's cabinet and a leader from my home state of Bihar. So we have a lot of hope from him. Chirag, thank you so much for coming for this session here at NDTV. We are grateful that you could find time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Chirag, let's begin on a somber note because I think India is mourning and at the same time united in grief. There was a strong message that came from Prime Minister Modi from Bihar. Do you think that as a nation which is hurting at the moment, that message has managed to, in some way, assuage the sentiments of the entire country?
Well, to begin with, I come here with a heavy heart. I share the feeling with every citizen of my country, the feeling of sadness and anger as well. And I think my Prime Minister has said it in many words that we'll not let it go. And he has proved it in past also, when Pulwama happened, that time also, he gave a strong message with surgical strike and stuff. And this time he said this very clearly and very categorically from my state only. He was in Bihar yesterday, and there he said this, that this is the end. It will be the end of the terrorism now. And I have that faith, that belief in my Prime Minister. I think every citizen of our country has this faith that it's only him who can take these strong action. And also in terms of policies, we have started already taking those strong steps, I think in this water treaty is one of the strongest steps that's been taken in the recent past. So yes, I think I have that belief, that faith in my Prime Minister. At the right time, right action will definitely be taken.
Thank you for that message. Let's begin with your ministry now. And, you always believe in coming up with your own ideas when you run anything, from running your own political party, where you started that slogan of Yuva Bihari and that entire campaign, which played out particularly during the 2020 elections, to now running your own ministry with your own stamp. How has it been and what are your plans?
Well, to begin with, I think it's a huge responsibility. As a minister, definitely comes with a huge responsibility, but especially handling this particular ministry, I have this firm belief and faith that eventually when my Prime Minister talks about India becoming a developed nation by 2047, I think my ministry in this particular sector of food processing plays an important role, will definitely be a very, very important part of the developed India. As of now, when we talk about food processing sector in India, I think it's yet a very untapped sector. A lot that needs to be done in this sector, and there's a lot scope that needs to be done. There's a lot that could have been done by now. But having said that, I think we are in a process of expanding this sector. We are in the process of creating that ecosystem that needs to give that required push to the food processing sector, India being an agro-based country, and majority of our states and majority of the population is involved in farming. So I think this particular sector of processing plays a very, very important role when we talk about increasing farmers' income, when we talk about reducing the post-harvest losses, when we talk about international penetration as a soft power through the food sector. So I think in that, the food processing sector will play a very vital role in coming years.
As a minister who's very hands-on on his ministry and also goes into finer details, I know that you spend hours in your ministry so I want to understand from you, particularly with regards to investment and infrastructure, which is happening in rural India and tier 2 cities.
Well, to begin with, to be very honest, I think a lot of me comes from my personal experience and my interaction with the common people, with the masses. And as I said, Being a Bihari, I come from a state which is where the economy is largely driven by the farmers and the farming. So I think I have this first-hand experience, where what is going wrong is what something I understand very naturally. So most of my decisions are based on my experience, my interaction with the common people, and on that basis, most of the time I don't think I'm politically correct when I say or take a particular decision, but I know it for the fact that eventually, it is good for the industry, it is good for the food processing sector. And yes, rightly said, I spend a lot of time reading. I read a lot about this sector, this ministry, the concerns of the industry. I interact a lot with the people of the industry. And eventually, I think and I believe that the government should be somebody who should make policies, in concern with the with the stakeholders, in talks with the stakeholders. Only then you should draft those policies. It should be made to give them that required push, not to hamper their growth. So most of my time I spend interacting with the people of the industry and their concerns and their suggestions. And as I said, a lot needs to be done. We are not even 10% there. That's
Do you
the
have a
scope.
roadmap of sorts?
I do have a roadmap. I mean, eventually, I know we have that potential, and that's the dream of my prime minister also. And I share that dream with him that eventually India should represent itself as a global food basket. And I know that we can do that. We have that potential of becoming the global food basket, whereby not only catering to the hunger needs of our country, but also we have the potential to cater to the hunger needs of the various other countries globally where agriculture is not prominently there. So we can perform that role only if we channelize ourselves, only if we navigate ourselves in the right direction, which I'm trying to do through policies, through various other schemes, and bringing in some prominent changes, in the schemes and in the ministry. So yes, I am trying to do that.
When you say global food
Food
basket,
basket.
that's quite an interesting coinage, certainly, Chirag. Let's now look at the role of private players and how important is it to get them on board for cold chain and for creating modern storage and also value addition facilities.
Well, it's very important. I think private players play the most important role in this sector. And also through my ministry, I mean, we involve a lot of private players, in terms of giving them incentives, subsidies, and stuff through our various schemes. I'm happy that my ministry caters to every stakeholder concerning this sector. Whether they are the micro enterprises, where they're the small and the medium ones, or the large ones. We have a scheme for each one of them. And I personally believe that this sector requires a carpet bombing. I mean, you have to reach out to the rural areas, where actually the farming takes place. We need to work on the logistics. We need to work that how through backward linkages, involving ourselves with the farmers, how we can make a strong presence of this particular sector even in the rural area. So yes, I mean, the private players play a very, very important role. And I do get them involved a lot through various other schemes of my ministry.
As someone who is followed a lot on Instagram and you trend often for various reasons.
Right or wrong.
So you have a strong youth connect. What would you tell young businessmen who should venture into the food processing area or sector?
Well, I don't know what can I tell them, because of course it's their sector, and I'm sure if they're getting into it, and I'm happy that we have institutions now, who specializes in food processing. Two of them come under my ministry only. NIFTEM, we have a NIFTEM in Tanjavur. This morning I was in Kundli, we have a NIFTEM there. And for the longest time, my ministry was demanding for another NIFTEM. And I'm happy, and I thank my Prime Minister and the Finance Minister for approving another NIFTEM, and that's coming to our state,
Okay.
Bihar.
Awesome. Which part of Bihar?
So the third NIFTEM is coming in Bihar. So through these
Elaborate on this NIFTEM idea. What exactly
So
is
it's a
it?
Food Technology Institute, and it's of the national importance. And so through this institute, everybody who wants to get involved with food processing, they can have the required skill to be a part of this industry. So I think, and these days I see all these youngsters coming, and they come up with such brilliant ideas. Like today when I was there in my Food Technology Institute, NIFTM in Kundli, it was a meet for all the startup ideas. And these youngsters, they come up with brilliant ideas, and we try and collab them with the leaders of the industry, who can really take up and provide that handholding to their ideas and to their innovations and to their new technologies. So I think the youngsters are getting excited with this sector, and they are coming proactively to join in this sector. And and as I said, there's a huge scope. There's a massive, massive scope in this sector, not only nationally but globally also. When I travel and when I represent my country on global platforms, that's where I realize that how much India has been looked as a destination,
Yes.
and especially in this particular sector. Like a couple of months back, I was at Davos and at the World Economic Forum representing India. And the kind of bilaterals I had there, that made my belief even stronger that, everybody is looking at India as a destination. And not only because of 1.4 billion people that we have in our country, but also in terms of doing R&Ds and, setting up their base camps and their headquarters here. So that is really exciting and motivating.
So, technology, e-commerce platforms, quick commerce, and how they play that role in providing safer food, the fresher food to
Well, they do
urban
definitely play
consumers.
an important role, even in terms of promoting the processed food items also,
Yes.
And especially of late, I have realized with my interaction with one of the schemes that we have is of PMFME, which is for the micro enterprises, Uh, somewhere in a village, a young lady, wants to get into food processing, through this scheme, we provide them with a complete hand holding, not only to girls, even to boys and to everybody who wants to become an entrepreneur in food processing. My prime minister has always wished that rather than we being job seekers, we should come into a position where we can be job givers as well. And I think through this scheme, I find this really comforting, when I see these young boy, girl, living in some village, and because of the scheme, they become a young entrepreneur, and they have couple of people working under them. So they use a lot of these platforms to promote their product digitally on these sites and stuff. So yes, I mean, they also contribute a lot. It is an important segment of the sector.
Okay, so on a lighter note, and this is what's one processed food product from India you believe has global potential, but it is still underappreciated?
Well, I think we are tapping every single component of this sector. Uh, and as I said, we have this scope also. Eventually, what my wish and my dream is that, and I know we have that potential. I want that at least one Indian food item should be there on every dining table on this earth. That's where I want Indian food industry to go. And I know that we can do this. We are capable of doing this. We come from a heritage where naturally, we are related to the processing sector. We have seen our grandmothers and, ladies in our house, processing food item, dahi banana, papad, pickle, chutney, all these things. We have seen this happening in our home. So I know this is one sector uh, with which we associate naturally. And we have that potential. I think whether it's our dairy products, it's our chocolates, it's our perishable food items in various other forms, how you process them. I think there is a scope. Globally, everybody is loving Indian delicacy, with my personal experience, I can say this. You know, when I travel abroad and I go to an Indian restaurant, most of the time I find myself being the only Indian in that Indian restaurant, and most of the rest of the others, you know, they are foreigners. So I know that Indian taste is also developing globally. It's just for us to channelize it and to navigate it properly so that we can penetrate well globally.
चिराग, दो सवाल बिहार के लिए, क्योंकि 6 महीने में चुनाव होने वाला है, तो उस
I didn't
वक्त
know this is also coming.
No, I mean, how will I let go of you without asking questions on elections in Bihar? बिहार में चिराग पासवान की भूमिका क्या होगी? ये सवाल इसलिए क्योंकि 2020 में आप हनुमान थे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के, इस बार क्या होंगे?
Oh, this was a bouncer. I didn't know this is also coming on this platform. So yes, एनडीए का हिस्सा हैं हम लोग और मजबूती से हैं, और मैं ये मानता हूँ आज की तारीख में जिस अलायंस में हैं हम लोग और जो कॉम्बिनेशन है 5 दलों का, ये अपने में इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग कॉम्बिनेशन है कि इस बार एनडीए एक ऐतिहासिक जीत की ओर अग्रसर हो रहा है। और मैं ये हवाई बातें नहीं कह रहा, मैं परिणामों के साथ उदाहरण मैं दे सकता हूँ।
नीतीश कुमार चेहरा होंगे, आप मानते हैं कि नीतीश कुमार अच्छे चेहरा हैं?
हमारे मुख्यमंत्री बिहार के, उन्हीं के नेतृत्व में हम लोग ये चुनाव लड़ने जा रहे हैं, और इसके परिणाम, जिस उदाहरण की मैं बात कर रहा था, पीछे 4 उपचुनाव हुए और उसमें हम लोगों ने कुछ ऐसी सीटें जीती हैं जो कि दशकों से एनडीए अलायंस नहीं जीत पाया। आप बिहार से आप समझेंगी कि कुछ ऐसी बेलागंज जैसी सीटें जो कि पिछले 3.5 दशक से एनडीए अलायंस का कोई उम्मीदवार उस सीट को नहीं जीत पाया, ऐसी सीटें हम लोगों ने जीती हैं। तरारी वाली सीट हम लोगों ने जीती है। तो मैं मानता हूं कि ये अपने में इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग विनिंग कॉम्बिनेशन है कि इस बार 225 से ज़्यादा सीटें हम लोग जीत कर बिहार में सरकार बनाएंगे।
क्योंकि आपने उस उपचुनाव की बात की, तो वो सारे उपचुनाव में एक न्यू पार्टी का रोल था। वो आपके मित्र भी हैं, बहुत अच्छे मित्र हैं, ख़ास मित्र हैं। प्रशांत किशोर ने जो वोट काटा, उसी की वजह से आपको ये ऐतिहासिक जीत मिली थी। क्या होगा उनका रोल?
मैं वोट काटने की बात नहीं कहूँगा, और मैं लोकतंत्र में इस बात का मैं पक्षधर हूँ कि जितने विकल्प मिले उतना अच्छा है। राजनीति में ज़्यादा लोगों को आना चाहिए, ज़्यादा यंगस्टर्स को आना चाहिए, और ख़ास तौर पे मेरे जैसे राज्य में तो बहुत ज़रूरत है जहाँ पे सिर्फ जाति पे राजनीति आधारित हो जाती है। एंड वी हैव बीन द विक्टिम्स ऑफ दिस काइंड ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स over the years. For decades we have seen that eventually everything boils down to the caste politics there, जिसका मैं कतई पक्षधर नहीं हूँ। और मैं हर उस व्यक्ति का मैं स्वागत करता हूँ राजनीति में जो जात पात धर्म मजहब से उठकर राजनीतिक सोच, विकास की सोच के साथ राजनीति में आते हैं, जिसमें से प्रशांत भी एक हैं। बट हाँ, मैं नहीं मानता कि उनके वोट काटने की वजह से हम लोगों को किसी तरीके का लाभ हुआ। जैसा मैंने कहा कि हम लोग अपने में इतना एक स्ट्रॉन्ग कॉम्बिनेशन है कि हम लोग आने वाले दिनों में एक ऐतिहासिक जीत दर्ज करेंगे बिना किसी के वोट काटे।
आखिरी सवाल, आपके पिताजी की तरह क्या आप हमेशा सेंटर की पॉलिटिक्स करेंगे या फिर कुछ सोचेंगे बिहार जाकर के बिहार की पॉलिटिक्स में कंट्रीब्यूट करें, कुछ नया, कोई पॉसिबल रोल?
I knew this was coming. You have said it very nicely. मैं इस बात को स्पष्ट कर दूं, और मैं इस बात को पहले भी कह चुका हूं, मैं पुनः इस बात को दोहराता हूं। मेरा राजनीति में आने का कारण ही बिहार और बिहारी ही रहे हैं। मैं बिहार फर्स्ट, बिहारी फर्स्ट की सोच के साथ में आगे बढ़ रहा हूं, और मैंने शुरू से इस बात को कहा है। दिल्ली में रहा हूं, बम्बई में मैंने काम किया, मैंने करीबी रूप से देखा है किस तरीके से बिहारियों को दूसरे राज्यों में अपमानित किया जाता है। मजबूरी में कैसे बिहारी अपने राज्य को छोड़कर दूसरे राज्यों में गए, दूसरे देशों में गए, और किस तकलीफ के साथ वो वहाँ पर रह रहे हैं। पीढ़ियाँ गुजर गई, वो अपने राज्य वापस नहीं आ पाए क्योंकि वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ही कभी डेवलप अपने राज्य में नहीं हुआ। बिहार फर्स्ट, बिहारी फर्स्ट की सोच न सिर्फ पलायन को रोकने की है बल्कि रिवर्स माइग्रेशन को भी शुरू करने की है। जो लोग बिहार छोड़कर गए हैं, ऐसा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिहार में डेवलप करने की है जहां पे शिक्षा से लेके, स्वास्थ्य से लेके, जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज से लेके इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन तक हर वो सुविधा उपलब्ध हो जो संभवतः उनको दूसरे राज्यों में मिल रही है, ताकि वो वापस अपने राज्य आ सकें। तो जब मेरी प्राथमिकता ही बिहार है तो मैं अपने आप को बिहार की राजनीति में ज़्यादा देखता हूँ। Unlike my father, as you asked, unlike him, where he was very clear that he wants to be in the national politics, I am very clear that eventually I'll shift towards Bihar, and my politics will be based more in Bihar.
All right, Chirag Paswan, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.